So if you're a family friend of mine and if you sat with me longer than 5 minutes this year, chances are I probably told you about the massive shifts of planetary transits happening this year. A lot of them are really huge, but we're starting to see us change as a collective for the first time in 150 years or 300 years or however long it is. Every single planet that is going into a different sign, the combination of all of them is as a whole shifting us as a collective, and it's a really exciting time for me. It's a really exciting time as someone who does a lot of spiritual work. I'm seeing my clients making massive shifts. I'm seeing my friends take huge steps away from their family traumas and their wounds to become like who they are and come into their power. And we've got a huge shift happening on May 25th, with Saturn going into Aries. That is going to be kind of the cherry on top on a lot of things, specifically boundaries. Now, as you know, Neptune went into Aries, I want to say March 30th, and that was a bigger shift around your spirituality that you would have noticed. Saturn is more about independence and autonomy, and so you're going to be seeing with this next shift that's coming up, it's going to be more about you holding boundaries and growing within that, that autonomy. And it asks a lot of you. Now, I'm going to say this. The last time that Neptune shifted into Aries and now Saturn shifted into Aries was in 1703. And so it has been a very long time since this has happened. It's a big deal. Now, in our lifetimes, specifically focusing on Saturn, which is the shift that's happening on May 25th of 2025, it's a big deal because the last time I think it happened was between 1995 and 1999. And as a 1990s, 1900s baby, during that time, I was like between 15 and 19 years old, 18 years old. And so there were huge shifts around my independence. And, I think in 99, I went to college. And so I was like, I went to college 800 miles away from my hometown, which is something I did intentionally. And so, that's, if you were alive at that time, you will have that kind of memory attached to it. Now, if you weren't, this still applies to you, and here's how. And it's a pretty big deal. I took some notes, and so I may look away from the camera, but some of the themes around Saturn specifically is independence and autonomy. And then Aries is like taking a big step. It's leadership, which is huge. It was just in Pisces, which was more about you swimming within your spirituality. This is huge. It's about you taking control of your life. And here is how it's going to manifest. Remember how I was talking about, with, I want to say it was, Venus was in retrograde throughout March and part of April. That was a time where, like, in your romantic relationships, in your work relationships, and in your family relationships, you're forced to hold a boundary in a way that was completely unfamiliar to you or very inconvenient, very uncomfortable for you in the past. Now, here is where it has to come to fruition. You have to grow the fuck up with this transit. You have to give verbal boundaries with everyone from now on. You're no longer allowed to just stop calling that person or Irish goodbye them. If a scenario or a situation arises, you are to, and Saturn will be demanding, in Aries, that you handle it in an adult way. And it is in a way that is respectful to yourself and puts all of the boundaries down with the person around you, whoever is pushing those boundaries. The other thing I was going to ask you is, I want to just posit this really quick. Are you in the right career? Because if you're not, then you need to get the fuck out, because this lesson isn't going to be learned again, and it will be stressful as hell. Like, this is the time to like drop the career that you can't stand or that you're like overworked by. The other thing I was going to also ask is, are you living in the right town? Ooh, that sun. Are you living in the right town right now? And if it feels out of alignment, where do you want to go? Ask yourself, where do I want to go if I am uncomfortable or if I'm out of alignment and I know it? This transit is going to usher you, is going to cushion the fall, is going to cushion all of these major moves that you're making. If you are out of alignment, you're going to feel it, especially, I will say this, my 90s babies. If you were, in the area of my generation, and if you were a teenager during that last time, you're going to feel it a lot, because chances are like me, I'm 44. You're going to be in, I'm looking 44 in my ceremonial robe today. This is actually something I bought to do witchcraft in, but then I kept trying to I almost like caught myself on fire several times with it, but it's a fabulous robe. Anyway, I'm feeling 44 in this robe today. Fabulous. But chances are, back on track, if you are around my age, you're feeling it a lot because you're in midlife space. And so you're like, is a person out of alignment? They gotta go. Is a place out of alignment? It's gotta go. I've gotta go. It's like you're looking to find your place in the world. Now, if you're, a decade younger, 2 decades younger, you're gonna feel this growing pain in different ways. It's gonna feel like everything feels like it's a mess and it's all wrong and you're not living your purpose. This is the time to lean into it, and is the only time. Like, this portal that we are in right now, or about to be in on May 25th, is going to last 2.5 years. So roughly until 2028 is when it's going to happen. Okay. It gives you plenty of time to readjust and pivot. And I will say that this 2.5 year transit is going to give us time to identify what's not resonating, who isn't resonating, where isn't resonating, and it's going to give us time to shift and make that pivot. 2026 expected to be a big year of shifts, but it's shifting you into your power. And remember, you're getting shifted into your independence and into your autonomy, and so you're growing up. This is a growing pain. So here are a couple signs that you're ready for this shift that is coming up on the 25th. And I wrote a couple notes down when I was kind of doing the homework on what this energy is. You're feeling like you're outgrowing your life is going to be the first thing. That you're getting a little bit too big for where you're at, and it just feels out of alignment. The next one, you no longer need outside validation. You no longer need to check in with people, to be accountable to people in a responsible way. This doesn't mean you fuck off from everybody, right? There's accountability there, but you no longer feel like you have to check in with other people to be yourself. You're no longer to take up space. And I will say this is going to be a big theme around feminines. You are no longer allowed to come up and show up in the way that you are around other people. And if they're uncomfortable with it, then they're not your people anymore. And I hate to be the bearer of that news. And then lastly, you are looking for conscious community. I will say this, a lot of us are spiritually growing. And it's a lot of feminines, but hopefully a lot of masculines are coming along for the ride too, because we've all got to grow together. We are growing away from the patriarchal construct of men first, right? Of putting men first. That is an ancient, 2,000 years old, biblical reality that we have been taught and conditioned by the patriarchy to put men first. Before we were in this reality, and that was a little bit older than 2,000 years, we were in a society where everyone was equal, everything was even. We're going back to that, right? Everything that's happening in the States right now is like the death grasp, or the death gasp of air. It's like that last gurgle before someone croaks. Like, that is what's happening with the patriarchy here. This shift of Saturn going into Aries is gonna emotionally and spiritually align you, in combination, mind you, with the Neptune shift into Aries as well, because you're looking at your spirituality, you're looking at your autonomy and your independence, and you're saying, there's no fucking way I'm going back to where I was before. Now, here's a couple ways that you will see this energy show up in your life. You're gonna feel aligned action around your spirituality if you're doing the work around figuring out what that is. This is gonna feel like the initiation that you've been asking for. And then lastly, and this is my comment about patriarchy earlier, is outdated structures are gonna fall away to make room for conscious and higher values. You are going to feel like you don't belong in whatever is happening in our country right now. I will tell you that. You're going to feel like you're like a step outside. And that is a good thing, because it means that you're stepping closer to a higher spirituality, a higher vibration, and you're stepping into who you are and your independence and autonomy. This is a huge shift. And like the combination of Neptune's shift into Aries in your spirituality, and now Saturn in your independence going into Aries around your autonomy, the two of them together is asking you to take sacred action, and it is huge. Find your people, find your right home, find your right career, find your boundaries. That's your homework. I was gonna say good luck, but you know what? Like, if you need anything, I'm here. Like, I'm here for it. I'm here to watch it, and I'm seeing like the dominoes fall with my friends and my clients, and I'm really excited. So I'm here rooting for you, and that's where I'm going to leave it. Take care.